Welcome. My name is Tamala Olsby. I am an education specialist here at the Early Childhood Education Division of TEA. This webinar will cover the high-quality pre-kindergarten component of curriculum. This slide describes what will be discussed within this webinar. We will do a brief overview of all of the high-quality components. We will then delve into curriculum, looking at the statute, what does it mean. We'll look a little bit at the instructional materials list and an FAQ. And then we'll talk about meeting this requirement, and we'll close our time together with some resources and additional support. Let's briefly look at the high-quality components that are referenced in statute and in Commissioner's Rule. These are the high-quality pre-kindergarten components that are referenced within statute and are a requirement of every public pre-kindergarten program within Texas that serves eligible 4-year-old students. This includes districts, charters, and districts of innovation. The goal in implementing each of these components is to raise the quality of the pre-kindergarten programs within Texas. And the focus of this particular webinar is on curriculum. All the information contained within this presentation comes from at least one of the sources that are listed on this slide. Please note that the high-quality pre-kindergarten components are applicable to all programs serving eligible 4-year-old students using foundation school program funding. That includes districts, open enrollment charters, and districts of innovation. And we have given you on this slide here references in statute that will show that these components are applicable to all of these entities. Here we go. Let's talk about the high-quality component of curriculum. This slide articulates what is in statute regarding curriculum. It says a school district shall select and implement a curriculum for a pre-kindergarten program that includes the pre-kindergarten guidelines established by the agency. It measures the progress of students in meeting the recommended learning outcomes, and it does not use national curriculum standards developed by the Common Core State Standards Initiative. This slide articulates what is in Commissioner's Rule regarding curriculum within a pre-kindergarten program. And it says a school district or an open enrollment charter school shall implement a curriculum for a high-quality pre-kindergarten program that addresses the 2015 Texas pre-kindergarten guidelines in the following domains. And you will notice here that all 10 domains of the Texas pre-kindergarten guidelines must be implemented in the curriculum, and they're listed here on the slide. The focus for pre-kindergarten curriculum is on the whole child, and I think that's very easy to see once you read all of these domains. There is a second reference in Commissioner's Rule, and it says, in a format prescribed by the Texas Education Agency, a school district or an open enrollment charter school shall report the curriculum used in the high-quality pre-kindergarten program classes as required by subsection B of this section. So this tells us that annually, LEAs report what curriculum they are using in their pre-kindergarten program. And this is the third reference to curriculum that is in the commissioner's rule. It says a school district or an open enrollment charter school shall maintain locally and provide at the TEA's request the necessary documentation to ensure fidelity of high-quality pre-kindergarten program implementation. So what does that mean? That basically means that there should be evidence of what curriculum you used, and you should be able to access that evidence if requested by TEA. So what does all of this mean? There was a reference in statute and then 3 references in commissioner's rule. Well, the curriculum used in a pre-kindergarten program serving eligible 4-year-old students must align with the 2015 Texas Pre-K guidelines, and it must be identified annually into ECDS. Documentation regarding the alignment of the curriculum used with the Texas Pre-K guidelines should be maintained by the LEA. So let's look at this instructional materials list. One of the State Board of Education's responsibilities is to review curriculum to see if it aligns with state standards. And in pre-kindergarten, those state standards are the 2015 Texas Pre-K guidelines. The curriculum here listed has been reviewed by the State Board of Ed, and it has been determined that each of these curricula are in alignment with those Texas Pre-K guidelines. You will notice here that this current list is effective through the end of the 2020-21 school year. Now, with the Proclamation 2021, the list of curricula on the approved instructional materials list has increased substantially. This slide shows the pre-K curriculum listed on the new instructional materials list. The responsibility of choosing a curriculum for use in a pre-kindergarten program is a very, very important one. Proclamation 2021 added an additional step in their review and adoption process. It was called a quality review. So not only did the State Board of Ed make sure that each of these curricula align with the Texas Pre-K guidelines, but they did a quality review on each of these curricula. And that quality review can assist LEAs in selecting a curriculum that meets their specific student needs. And I'm going to give you a link later in the presentation to that quality review so you could look at it. You will notice here on the bottom of the slide, I have given you a link to the new instructional materials list. Let's look at a FAQ on curriculum. The question has come in, our district has been using a locally designed curriculum for over 20 years. Do we have to change our curriculum? Well, the answer to that is, if the district's locally designed curriculum aligns with the 2015 Texas Pre-K guidelines, the district meets the regulations requirement. It would be prudent to carefully review the locally designed curriculum periodically to make sure that it is aligned with all of the Texas pre-K guidelines. In other words, it is not mandatory that an LEA use a curricula that is listed on the instructional materials list. It is mandatory that the curriculum used in a pre-kindergarten program that serves eligible 4-year-olds is aligned with the 2015 Texas pre-K guidelines. Using an effective curriculum is a very valuable way to build the quality of our pre-kindergarten programs in Texas. Curriculum not only gives the teacher a format on which to establish what concepts, what skills he or she will introduce and reinforce and practice, but it can also give students an opportunity to learn new things. I would encourage you to do some reflection now to determine your next steps. This slide contains a checklist of the requirements associated with pre-kindergarten curriculum. Consider whether you are meeting each of these requirements, or are you in the process of meeting the requirement? If you are in the process of meeting the requirement, please consider what your next steps might be. So there are 3 requirements, and you will see the curriculum used in the pre-kindergarten program serving eligible 4-year-old students aligns with the 2015 Texas pre-K guidelines. The next one is the pre-kindergarten curriculum is identified in the annual ECDS submission. And the last requirement, the LEA maintains the appropriate records to document compliance with this high-quality component. This checklist is part of an overall checklist that can be found on our high-quality web pages. If you are in compliance with this high-quality pre-kindergarten component, TEA would encourage you to consider using the pre-kindergarten version of the Early Childhood Program Self-Assessment to consider more opportunity to improve your pre-kindergarten program. There is a whole section in this document that is dedicated to curriculum. Let's look now at some resources and support that may assist you in your compliance with this high-quality component. I've given you the links to the 2015 Texas Pre-K guidelines. There is a section in our FAQs that deals specifically with curriculum. You might want to check those out. I've given you the link to the current instructional materials list that expires at the end of this school year, and then given you the link to the new list of instructional materials. And remember, I told you about the quality review, which was a new process in the review and adoption. And so I've given you 2 links. The first one is the pre-K quality rubric, and that way you could actually look at the rubric that was used in the review process. And then I've given you the link to the scores. So you can actually go through the curricula and look at how they scored on that quality rubric. I've also given you the link to the Early Childhood Program Self-Assessment, which we spoke about earlier. And then remember that checklist, and I told you it was part of a bigger checklist. I have given you the link here to that bigger checklist. The Early Childhood Education Division of TEA is ready and willing to support your efforts. So please visit our website and do not hesitate to contact us when you need to. Using an effective research-based curriculum that is aligned to the 2015 Texas Pre-K guidelines is an effective way to improve the quality of a pre-kindergarten program. Thank you for joining us today.